every day. And now, here's your host, Tom Baker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to what promises to be a very lively stock car show here on the Performance Motorsports Network and Spreaker tonight, as we also broadcast live, of course, on the Race Chaser Media Facebook Live page. All of this courtesy of HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety, and also we are going to talk about a new sponsor addition to the show here who joined us last week. We'll talk about Telmet Direct tonight as well. My name is Tom Baker. I am joined by Jacob Seelman from Speed Sport Magazine at the table here inside the Race City USA Race Chaser Studios. We've got Randy Miller over in the tech shed.
Hello.
Handling all of the production skills capably, and you can see him on the Randy cam. And we've also got, light up that tech shed.
Yeah, you can see Randy on the Randy cam after Randy turns the lights on.
Yeah, God said let there be light in the tech shed.
My lights haven't been on for quite some time, so.
Yeah, well, I tend to spend about half my life with my lights out, but that's a whole other story. And we've got Cisco Scaramouza, who's handling all of the video production work and joining us via the Race Chaser Skype line. And okay, guys, we're going to have Haley Deegan join us later on via the telephone. Woohoo. She is the first woman driver, female driver, to win a NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race. She got the job done over the weekend, and man, just unbelievable. Meridian, I think it was.
Yes,
right?
Meridian, Idaho.
Yep.
Quarter mile.
And Haley getting it done. And we're also going to talk to, this should be fun, we're going to talk to Langley Austin from Race22.com. We're going to talk to Langley about Martinsville. So that'll be coming up. You won't want to miss that. A couple of us here were at Charlotte Motor Speedway yesterday. Jacob spent a week there over the weekend. And I had a wedding to perform on Saturday, so I was not there. But we'll start where we should, which was with the Cup race.
Yes, and before we actually talk about racing, might I remind the audience that a few months ago, repeatedly, this guy right here said repeatedly that the Roval was not going to be a good race. You had no faith, sir. No faith.
Zero. None.
You have a steaming plate of crow to eat, sir, because that race was fantastic.
Go to my Facebook. I ate it yesterday. It tasted an awful lot like chocolate cake.
That was chocolate cake. I want an investigation in this. That was cake.
I was absolutely wrong, and I said for months that I hope I have to eat crow, and I will be happy to eat crow, and now I'm eating crow. I was wrong. It was a great race. That being said, it was a great race, I think, not so much because the Roval's a perfect track to run a race on. It's not. And not because it wasn't a disaster earlier on in the weekend. It was.
Yeah.
They tore up a lot of race cars. They were still making adjustments to this course right up until Saturday when the Xfinity Series went out. And this was my concern, was that we were going to have no idea what these cars were going to actually do when you got a couple dozen or 3 dozen of them out there on the track at the same time and threw a green flag. And where I am happy that I was wrong is that when they threw the green, the drivers all respected each other enough for the most part to, not be knocking each other into fences and all of that. But on the occasions, obviously, when, things did happen, there's really, in a lot of parts of the course, there's just no way to avoid hitting a fence because there just isn't enough runoff room.
Right.
That being said, racing was great, and yesterday's finish was just
nuts.
You couldn't have scripted that. Charlotte Motor Speedway, this was the equivalent to one hot night. back in 1992 when nobody said they could light Charlotte Motor Speedway, and Humpy Wheeler found out a way to do it. And it was a great first All-Star race, and we're still waiting for the next one hot night because there haven't been a one that's compared to it since. But this race was just Hollywood times 10.
Spectacular. Actually, no. I will use the two words that I used to describe it with a certain Steve Phelps that I happened to not literally run into, but cross paths with during the course of the day on Sunday before the start of the race. What I hoped would happen, I said, instant classic. That's what NASCAR needs. Well, you know what? That's exactly what NASCAR got.
Exactly.
This will make the highlight reels for the next 5 years,
no
at
doubt.
least.
No doubt.
And the fact of the matter is, and Cisco, I believe, will back me up on this point, regardless of the fact that Jimmy Johnson wrecked, didn't win, and didn't advance, I have a sense of optimism for the 48 team after Sunday. How, you ask, and why, you ask? Because, for once, I saw Jimmy Johnson with a fire under his butt. And to me, Cisco, that's something we haven't seen a whole lot of. That's a good thing. He went after it. He got after it. He got aggressive. He used teeth. And if not for a little brake bias that he misjudged, which he admitted on Twitter earlier today, he probably has a shot and maybe wins that race.
Yeah, I got to agree, Jacob. I mean, you and I talked a little bit this morning about it, but it's a very different atmosphere in that camp right now. And I think Dave Burns also talked a little bit about it on the broadcast. The fact that when he had talked to Jimmy over the weekend, he was happy and, excited to be back behind the wheel of a race car. And lest we forget the fact that this season, we haven't seen a whole lot of that from him. I mean, you look at the standings, you look at where he's run, there's not really been a whole lot to be happy about in that 48 camp. They haven't won a race. We had the whole thing with Lowe's come out that they're going to be walking away at the end of the season. Endless talk about Jimmy. Oh, when's it going to be the year when he retires? Of course, with the Gregson news that came out, all of a sudden everybody going, oh, that's going to be who's driving the 48 car. Jimmy just went out there and proved, hey, I'm not gone yet, guys. I can go out there and I can have some fun. And I think not only did he prove it to us that he could, I think he proved it to himself.
Yeah, I would agree with that, though I don't think he needed proof. I just think the cars haven't been good. I mean, unquestionably, the 48 team has been, in terms of car performance, has been the worst for much of the year of the Hendrick camp. I mean, I exclude William Byron only because, Williams had tracks he hadn't been on before and he's kind of get used to Cup. But, lately you started to see the performance, if not the results, start to tick up for the 48 and start to get a little better. And, that's why I picked him to win this race, because I just felt like it was such a wild card. And Jimmy is actually the type of driver that has the knowledge and the experience to quickly adapt and find ways in these situations. But, of course, he needed a bunch of help from guys crashing in front of him to be in that position. But he, look.
That was largely on strategy, though, too.
It was, yes. But I don't know if you got Keselowski and all the other guys. I'm not sure Jimmy still runs for the win at that point, but nonetheless, he was there and had a shot at it. And
he did.
I got to say that I'm going to throw a huge black flag.
Oh, snap.
To Martin Truex, because I just thought that his remarks were completely classless. And
you know what was even more classless? The fact that he punted him in turn one after the checkered flag.
Well, that too. And it also occurred to me that, if this whole thing turns out the way everybody says it's going to, and he signs a contract to drive for Joe Gibbs, he fits right in, because that's exactly the kind of attitude that you see out of the Joe Gibbs camp more often than not lately. The drivers pout. The drivers blame everybody but themselves. It just, I'm very disappointed. That's not how a champion behaves. That's not how a champion treats a 7-time champion who was winning championships when Martin Truex couldn't qualify for a Busch North race. And I just thought that was disgraceful how he handled that. It wasn't as if Jimmy punted him directly or even tried to punt him. Jimmy lost control and he clipped him. He was racing for a win. He hadn't won in 51 starts. As far as I'm concerned, I give absolutely no pass to Martin Truex. That was totally classless. Jacob?
Absolutely. Now, I know, Cisco, that you want to respond to that, and we'll give you a chance to do that after the break because we're short on time. But to go back to the Johnson-Truex thing, let's just be clear here. Number one, as you mentioned off the top, this is something that SMI couldn't have even predicted. Marcus Smith said point blank to the media afterwards, it's not what I hoped for, but good grief, it was exciting.
Oh, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I think that's what's the most fun out of all of this. And amazing how we spend the entire first segment talking about the Cup race. We haven't even breathed the name of the guy who actually won the race. Hi, Ryan Blaney. I mean, I don't want to completely forget about him, but
we'll
third
catch up
win?
to that.
Yeah.
We'll catch up to that in the next segment. We'll talk more about Ryan Blaney, more about Cup, more about, of course, the Xfinity race, which also had a surprise winner at the end. And we'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport right here on Spreaker, the Performance Motorsports Network, and the Race Chaser Media Facebook page after this.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girl in Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
Hi, this is Austin Terrio, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show. We're live on Spreaker. We're live on the Performance Motorsports Network. We're also live on our Race Chaser Media Facebook page. If you'd like to watch us instead of just listening, feel free to go over there and, hey, give us a like while you're at it if you would. We would appreciate that. And we are talking Roval and talking about the Cup race and talking about Team Penske and Ryan Blaney specifically, who
yes,
said,
please.
"Pass you very much," when Jimmy and Martin got together and went on to win the event. Interesting that Chase Elliott gets the first win of his career on a road course, and then later in the same year, not even a month later, Ryan Blaney gets the second win of his career, but the first win of his Team Penske chapter on a Roval road course
it's a
as
road
well.
course.
You know, I love Ryan. I love that Ryan won, but you know what, guys, and I'll turn to Jacob first on this. What I love more is the way Ryan reacted to the win. He was humble. He didn't gloat.
No.
He went out of his way to basically make it obvious that while he was happy to win and happy that his guys could win, he said it's kind of awkward to win the way that he did. So he's never had a situation like that before. And, you know, I think he went out of his way not to revel, if you will, in others' misery there.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of person Ryan is. That's
yes,
how he's been since I first met him at 13 years old. You know, this is nothing new. This is typical Ryan Blaney, and I expected nothing less, quite frankly. And I had to chuckle when he said, yeah, this is the first time I've ever been running third in the final corner and won a race because the two leaders wrecked. That just doesn't happen to me, but it happened at the Roval. And this is cool on a lot of levels, partially for Ryan as a member of Team Penske to finally get his face on a banner in Rogers' shop. That's a big deal for all the drivers who are fortunate enough to go to victory lane for the Penske team. It's a big deal for the 12 team. It's the 12's first win in quite some time.
Yeah.
I would have to go back and look to figure out the last
That's back in Newman land, isn't it?
I believe before Blaney that Newman was the last driver to win in the 12 car, if I remember correctly.
I don't think there's been a driver in the 12 car since Newman, has there?
It was kind of weird for a while. It was the 12, and then it was the 77, and then it went away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
because
Keselowski ran the 12
yeah.
when he first came to Penske.
He did?
Yeah.
Don't argue with Jacob on these things.
That was before Kurt Busch left. Remember when when Edwards flipped Keselowski at Atlanta a while back? That was in the 12 car.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when he introduced him in Atlanta and said Kyle Busch is, I can't say the rest of this quote.
Yeah. Kyle Busch is, you fill in the blank.
Still one of the funniest.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the whole Ryan Blaney point. This is big on a level of, I think all of a sudden it opens a door for Ryan Blaney.
I agree.
I would not have put, I honestly, and I'll admit this, and I'm glad I was wrong, I did not have Ryan Blaney getting out of the first round of the playoffs because that 12 team had not been good at all in the last 6 to 8 races leading into the first round. And this win, I feel like, changes all that. It's a shot in the arm. It's a big step in the right direction. And even more importantly than that, Tom, it gives them an all-important boost in playoff points that now carry through after the reset. It moves him from being the number 10 seed coming into this to the number 8 seed and above the cut line by 5 points to start off instead of having to fight your way out of a hole.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal with this for me. I think Ryan, with the tracks that are coming up, I think there's some good tracks for him in there. I think Dover will be a good track for him. We've got Talladega. You can either say that's good for everybody or bad for everybody because it's basically the same kind of a wild card this was, except that they're going in the circle. I mean, you've got some tracks coming up here that I think Ryan could excel at. But I think the big thing is that you've got 7 Fords in the top 12 right now, Cisco. And you've got 4 from Stewart Haas. I think this may be a first. I know it's a first for them. I don't know that we've had 4 cars from a team get to round 2 before. But you've got all 4 Stewart Haas cars. You got all 3 Team Penske cars as well. I think the biggest advantage Ryan's going to have is I think the Fords are going to be in a situation where they can help each other some in this next round. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if when we got to the next cutoff race, it would not surprise me, Cisco, if you were looking what is the top 8 right now. It would not surprise me if you were looking at this top 8 being the top 8 when we get to round 3. And at that point, you basically have 6 Fords and a pair of Toyotas.
Which kind of brings me to where I was gonna talk about Truex for a moment again.
Go ahead.
Just to kind of give my opinion on that. But it's an interesting situation given that the 18 and the 78 are really the only 2 Toyotas who've been able to consistently do things. Mm-hmm. And we've been throwing Martin Truex into this conversation all year because of how good he was.
Yep.
But now looking at it, I'm almost wondering if that's now Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, how so?
Because I'm looking at Truex. He got 4 wins during the season. He doesn't have 6. He doesn't have 7. He has 4, right?
Right.
Keselowski has 3. Got them in a row, keep in mind. And is going to be going into Talladega, a racetrack that he absolutely loves.
That's
and has
a valid
been
point.
Fantastic at in the fall. I could see the fourth win coming from there. Also keep in mind, and this is to my point about Truex, it's been since July that he's won. He's talked over and over with the broadcast crews and with all the reporters the fact that they'll either finish really well or they'll crash. So I understand the sentiment and I understand the frustration that he's had seeing that he's been on the lower end scale of things as of late. Yes, it's been a little bit of a drought for Mountain Truex, and considering all the hype that's around him, I understand a little bit of the frustration that he had on Sunday. And also keep in mind that, yes, he did go out and spin Jimmy out after the race. He didn't put him in the wall. He didn't go after and beat him up in the pits or anything like that. He was frustrated. It was a long day for these drivers. Honestly, if I was in that situation, I probably would have been a little ticked too. But that's, it's the nature of the racing that we saw at the Roval. So, yes, I agree that by the fact that his interview wasn't very becoming, his on-track performance wasn't very becoming of a former champion. However, I also understand it, and that comes from someone who's been a Jimmy Johnson fan since the beginning. So just kind of that's to get that out. Now, back to the point I was going to make. I feel like Brad Keselowski has more momentum than Martin Truex right now. I'm just going to say it. Yes, Martin got very lucky with the way things panned out. And, Tom, you brought out the fact that you said Jimmy was up there thanks to some help from all the cars crashing. That also helped for Truex as well because Keselowski and Larson were both up there. If those two don't control or disconnect into the first turn and just lock up, they're probably going to go on to win that race.
Well, Cisco.
Wait, before you make your point, let's not forget there was another Ford up in there too named Paul Menard, who I don't think any of us would have had in the top 5 at the end. And Menard was even running. I think it would have been between those guys and not so much Truex or Johnson.
Menard had dropped back. No, Menard had dropped back behind Johnson and Truex and some of the others having to extremely save fuel before that last caution.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. Everybody was saving fuel.
Yeah, Menard had dropped back to like 9th to 12th, somewhere in there by that point when the last caution flew. But anyway, back to Cisco's point. Stop and consider here, Cisco. Let's be clear. Keselowski has a little bit more momentum, yes, But Martin Truex has 50% more playoff points in the bank than Brad Keselowski does. That's big. Martin Truex was not anywhere close to missing the play. He had already been locked into the next round before this ever started on points. There was no question. There was no concern. I'm not worried about Martin Truex. They just have to get their stuff right for round 3 and Homestead. That's it.
I'm not saying I'm worried about him. I'm saying that the on-track performance that I've seen versus what Brad's been doing lately, as far as a threat to make it to Homestead, I think Brad will be in that top 4, and I think Brad is going to have a better shot than Truex and that race, assuming he gets to the final round. Based on what I've seen
absolutely
lately.
not. This first round is so different, Cisco. The only downforce track we've been on is Las Vegas, and Truex was right in the middle of that battle, too, before Keselowski came on late with a short-run car. Not buying it at all. We're getting to the meat and potatoes of this round.
Well, but I agree with you, Jacob, as far as that goes, but I also believe that the momentum right now is on Brad Keselowski's side, and even though he crashed out of this race, he was still in position to win. And just to wrap up the whole thing with Truex and his behavior, you can make all the excuses you want. I didn't say he didn't have a right to be frustrated, but you don't take the 7-time. It would have been different if Jimmy would have directly moved him or crashed him trying to win the race. Jimmy lost control. It's not like Truex has never done that before. Yeah. It was the way that he went about it and how he talked about Jimmy Johnson's move after the race. I just thought, Truex could be a whole lot more classy in the remarks that he made. Not to say that he couldn't have said, well, I'm disappointed Jimmy took that shot and took us out. But I don't care if he put him in the fence or not. He clearly spun him and made things worse. So I'm sorry. I'm just I'm totally disgusted with Martin's behavior after that, and I'm very surprised because I gave Martin a whole lot more credit than that. We'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show. We've got more conversation.
Haley Deegan up next.
Yeah, we got Haley Deegan up next. More conversation about the Roval. And, of course, we're going to talk about the other wild and controversial finish that happened at Martinsville Speedway coming up later in the show as well. Stick around. You're listening to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Back right after this.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schuberth helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
What an awesome game. What's up with your car?
I don't know. It won't start.
How are we getting home?
Chill. My parents signed me up for the roadside assistance from Lewis Meineke. It was free with my oil change. They'd come and get the car started or get us home and tow the car to the shop.
Good to know. With my driving, my parents never know what to expect.
When you join the Meineke Car Care Club with a $35 preferred service, you get 4 free months of roadside assistance, including tire change, battery jump, lockout service, towing, and more. Contact Lewis Meineke, located on Route 1, or call 827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Hi, I'm Tyler Reddick, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. And we are joined on the Race Chaser hotline by Haley Deegan, who just recently became the first female to win a NASCAR K&N Pro Series West feature event, getting the job done at Meridian Speedway on the quarter mile. Haley, welcome back to the program. It is great to talk with you, and congratulations on a win that was well earned and has been a while coming. I know you've worked really hard for this.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy race. It's definitely all my hard work finally paying off, which is pretty cool.
All right, Haley, so before we dig into the race too much, I actually want to point out your post-race media interview through NASCAR Media, because I did get a chance to listen back to that on Sunday morning before the Cup race. Did they hand you a monster or 3 before you talked to the press after that one? Because that is the most excited I think I have ever heard you. You might have given your dad a run for his money.
Yeah, I know. It was a crazy race, and I'm just so happy that it worked out the way it was, and I was so excited.
So talk us through the closing laps there. I know obviously any first win is big, but to do it in K&N West, to battle your teammate, it was nuts.
Yeah, no, I knew I had to make it happen. I knew I was going to have to be on the last lap, which the bumper run was necessary. And I think that the way it happened, my team still finished second, which is good. We finished 1, 2, and 3, all of us, so it was a good race.
It definitely was a great day. Walk us through that race and talk a little bit about how everything kind of boiled down to that last lap move.
Yeah, we definitely fell back there mid-race because we got stuck on the bottom. And as soon as I figured out how to make passes at that track, we went right back to the front. And I think that last lap pass was definitely the highlight of the race right there.
Now, for you, this has been a season. Everything's been building to this. I mean, I think we forget that just a couple of weeks ago, you had the run on the dirt in Las Vegas where you ran second, and I think that was the point where you and I talked after that, and I said to myself, okay, it's coming. Was that Vegas race motivation for you to go out and get that last spot you were missing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that definitely I knew I had to rebound from that last Vegas race, and I think that was the perfect way to do it.
For you, what was the closing laps like? What was the intensity like when you're trying to chase down Cole and then to make the move for the lead, come into the white flag? What's going through your mind?
I knew I just had to be perfect on those last couple laps and just really contain myself from overdriving the car, which ended up working out. I don't know how, but it was good. So I ended up just hitting my lines perfect, and in the end, we got back up there, and we ended up making it pass.
This has been a whirlwind for you. I know you came into North Carolina area last night, and it's been kind of a whirlwind tour here today. This not the first interview that you've done. I know you've kind of been all over the place celebrating this victory.
Yeah, I've done probably like 20 interviews today. It's been crazy. But yeah, so thank you guys for having me on, though.
Now, everybody's talked about it. This, for you, the first win by a female driver in K&N Pro Series West history. And you talked at the NASCAR Next event in May that you didn't want to be the best female driver. You just wanted to be the best driver. I feel like you've started to put some of that to rest with some of the runs you've had this year, but I will ask, what does it mean to set a mark like that, to know that, hey, nobody else has done what I just managed to do?
Yeah, there's not many things in the world of NASCAR that people haven't done. And so to be a person that kind of checks that off, it's definitely something, me, myself, I'm super pumped on. It's just keeping me like hungry for more. Like I just want to go out and I want to train my butt off to do better and get more wins.
Well, what's that training process been like for you this season? I know, obviously, it's been a lot of hard work to adjust from the off-road side to the NASCAR side, and there's a lot physically that goes into that.
Yeah, I think I've been practicing every single day, going to the gym, just stuff that I feel like trying to outwork the competitors, and it showed, and I think we definitely have the results now to prove that.
Now, Haley, that's, you talked about everything on track. You've been able to do some things off the track this year. One of the things you got to do was you became the, the driver coach almost in the new NASCAR Heat 3 game. Talk a little bit about that. What got you involved in that, and talk a bit about how that all worked with you.
Yeah, it was cool. They kind of reached out to me, and we got to set something up to be kind of like the mentor on the dirt game, which is sweet, but that's definitely right now my focus is on the track.
Yeah, so you're focusing on that. Never mind, go ahead, Jacob. I had a point, I lost it.
Haley, you mentioned that you want to carry this momentum. 2 races left. Now that you've got the win in your back pocket, does that take the pressure off for these last 2 races that you've, as you mentioned on Twitter, you've checked every box, every goal that you set out to do this year?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a sigh of relief getting that win, but I want to go for more.
Define more. I mean, in the last 2, what are you looking for now in the last 2 races? Obviously, at 2 very different racetracks in Roseville there, and then the finale at Kern, which you've been at before.
Yeah, those last 2 races, I'm going to have to give it my all. We're going to try to go for wins, and we're not in this for the championship. We're in it for wins right now, so we're just going to have to make it happen.
How do you grade this season with Bill McAnally Racing? Obviously, it started a little slow, but you've hit a lot of momentum at the right time here in the second half.
Yeah, I think that the whole season's gone good. We've developed like we talked about, and we're getting better, and we got that win. I think that's all that really matters.
For those in our audience who aren't familiar with your off-road background and the transition you've made to NASCAR, talk a little bit about that and what you've had to do differently adapting to the K&N West car compared to what you came from in the Lucas Oil Series.
Yeah, Dirt's a lot more aggressive coming into the K&N Series. I had to learn to be more patient, kind of relax, fan out for these long races. That's really the only thing.
Well, I know you can't do any of this by yourself, Haley. Talk a little bit about the supporters and sponsors that you need to thank, everybody that makes it happen for you in this 19 team.
Yeah, Toyota Racing especially, Bill McAnally, Napa Racing, Monster, One, everyone that's behind me this year, they're the ones that helped me make it happen.
All right, so final question before we cut you loose here. Have you started to get any of your plans for 2019 ironed out yet, or is that still kind of a work in progress here?
Not yet. We're working on it.
All right. Well, I know we certainly hope to see you back in some sort of stock car in 2019, but definitely a huge historic moment for you, Haley, and very, very impressed to see it happen. Congratulations again, and we're wishing you the best of luck here going into these final 2 K&N Pro Series West events.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
That is Haley Deegan, Tom, and the enthusiasm certainly is boundless there. I go back to Saturday night listening to her first interview right after she got out of the car. Obviously big for her. For those in our audience who don't know, her father, Brian Deegan, one of the most decorated X Games athletes in the history of the X Games, and we've been waiting for this kind of a breakthrough, I feel like, from her. She finally got it Saturday night on the quarter mile, and I just have the feeling she's not done this year. Her whole season's been building to the end of it here.
Well, she talked about she's developing and she's getting better as the season's gone on. It helped her, I think, that we had that Dust Bowl in Vegas that they ran on the dirt there, that she was able to obviously utilize her dirt experience with. But, seeing her get this win, and again, you see a lot of the drivers that this is typical in a division like K&N East or West. You put them on a quarter mile, and as they're developing, they get out front, and that's where you see them get their first win. So not a big surprise to me that she got a win, but I got to tell you, I think, she really is – she's setting herself up nicely, I think, to run out the rest of the schedule. Still a couple races left. It wouldn't surprise me to see her get another win before it's done. Not at all.
It wouldn't me either, especially the next race on the calendar is All-American Speedway there in Roseville, the 3rd mile, Tom, and that's another track that's very tight, drives very similar to where she got her first win at Meridian over the weekend, and I think that could be good. Kern County, that big fast half mile, I think might be a little bit tougher, but I like her chances at Roseville. I think it's going to be good, and it's great to see the Bill McAnally team as a whole really resurging. They're not going to win the championship this year, but they've definitely all bounced back in a big way, obviously with Derek Kraus having a good run, not necessarily with BMR specifically, but a good run at Loudon, and now Haley getting the win.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll step aside when we come back. Xfinity on the Roval in the next segment, and we've got Langley Austin coming up at the top of the hour.
Boy.
We're going to break down the Martinsville madness right here on the Stock Car Show in just a little while. Don't go anywhere. In fact, call up 5 of your friends and tell them to come on and join us in conversation here. You're listening to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. We'll be back right after this.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, this is Garrett Smithley, driver of the number nothing Chevrolet for JD Motorsports, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network and Spreaker, and we are live streaming to our Race Chaser Media Facebook page. Hey, I got a question for you. How many of you out there have ever needed some sort of care at about 5 o'clock on a Friday or at about 10 o'clock on a Sunday, and maybe you were away somewhere and out of pocket to get to your doctor or to your local hospital? Well, guess what? We've got an option for you. Telmed Benefits. With Telmed Benefits, you can talk to a doctor by phone or online video to get a diagnosis, treatment options, and a prescription if medically necessary. I've used this myself. I used it when I had the flu last fall. It saves a whole bunch of time and effort and money by avoiding crowded waiting rooms in the doctor's office, the urgent care clinic, or ER. Just use your phone, computer, smartphone, or tablet to get a quick diagnosis by a U.S. licensed physician. This is no joke. Telemedicine is a fast-rising option for those who are just seeking a quick way to get some quick medical attention. You can feel better now. Just go to telmedbenefits.com. That's telmedbenefits.com. It's only $19.95 a month, and it covers up to 5 people in the household. Go to the website, get your free pharmacy discount card. Telmed Benefits, the newest partner for us here on Race Chaser Radio, and we appreciate the opportunity to partner with them. It is it's a great service and something that every family could use. So Telmed Benefits, telmedbenefits.com for more information on that. As we continue with the show, we go back rolling and we talk about the Xfinity race.
Yes, please.
I was not able to be there, but I did watch a good part of it before the wedding started, so I was able to at least see it on the app. But this looked like a race, and again, like yesterday, we have one or two bigger ones, but for the most part, it was a pretty clean race. Chase Briscoe coming out the winner. Who would have ever thought Chase Briscoe getting a win? I think all of us thought the way it started, Austin Cindric was going to go hide. But, boy, he just cannot buy a break. It doesn't matter what car he drives.
Well, here's 2 things. Number 1, Austin Cindric made a mistake.
He did.
Austin Cindric admitted he made a mistake. If not for spinning out of the lead, he probably is in position to win the race instead of having to fight from behind. Point number 2. Why is everybody so surprised that Chase Briscoe won on Saturday? Genuine question. Why?
Well,
why?
I don't know. Maybe it's because he grew up racing open wheel stuff on dirt. I mean, I know he's had a few starts in the Trans Ams or whatever, and he's run NASCAR.
He's had multiple starts this season in the IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge and the Mustang GT4 on road courses. He's run the majority of the schedule this year with Scott Maxwell, who's one of the most renowned Ford road racers in the program, who's done a tremendous job of training Chase for what it takes to go road racing and go road racing successfully. Anybody who's surprised that Briscoe managed to get it done on the road course needs to stop and remember that for a second. Ford has dumped a ton into preparing Chase Briscoe this season, not just for his oval track NASCAR racing, but to make him a better all-around racer. He's run oval track NASCAR stuff. He's run dirt sprint car stuff. He's run road races this year. Chase Briscoe, I would argue, is one of the most well-rounded drivers in the sport right now, and he's not even at the Cup level. The fact that he won for the guy he terms his racing hero in Tony Stewart, and the fact that he got it done in Charlotte in the team's backyard, that's a huge deal. Not surprising, but a huge deal. This was a big moment, I feel like, for the kid who started sleeping on couches for the longest time just to get an opportunity and started sweeping floors in the Cunningham Motorsports ARCA shop just to get an opportunity. Now he's here, and he's here to stay.
What's interesting about this, Cisco, at least for me, is that of course, Briscoe getting the win. Now, this is his first win in Xfinity. It's his first year in Xfinity. What's interesting is the 41 opens up after this season because Kurt Busch is going to go somewhere. The one. And so,
did you cough? Excuse you.
I coughed. Yeah, I had that Chip Ganassi cough. And they're talking about Daniel Suarez. Really, no big surprise. He's about the only name left of the Cup guys who need a seat. But it makes me wonder, what do we do with Chase Briscoe here? Because you got Cole Custer down there. Mm-hmm. You don't assume Almirola's going anywhere anytime soon, and we don't think Kevin Harvick's going anywhere anytime soon. So next year, you would almost think you'd have 2 drivers if you're Ford to bring up into the Cup Series in Briscoe and Custer, and maybe 1 seat available at Stewart-Haas if Clint Boyer goes anywhere, Cisco. This is going to be kind of interesting to see if that's kind of the direction Briscoe heads in, or if as Ford expands, which I believe they're going to here in the next year or so, maybe he falls into line somewhere else in the organization.
Isn't there a front row car that's opening up here at the end of the season?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, but I don't. That's not been determined.
Okay.
There's a chance of running 3 cars, perhaps, maybe. But
I was talking about DiBurrito's car.
That's not a front row car.
That's GoFast. Yeah. Front row bought BK Racing.
Yeah.
The GoFast car's open, but Ford's not putting Chase in that car. I don't believe. I don't think Chase is ready. I think they'll run him probably one more year in the Xfinity Series. Jacob,
hang on a minute.
Give him the car that he's running full time.
Chase Briscoe's not even had a half a season in an Xfinity car, and you're trying to rush him to Cup after maybe 1 full season next year? Absolutely not. And Mark Rushbrook from Ford Performance said, we have a very specific plan for what we're working on with Chase. We'll announce that in due course, but I see Chase Briscoe likely running 2 full years in Xfinity before he makes the jump to the Cup level, and at that point, the 41 is the Haas car is going to go to Cole Custer. That's very clear. That we know how that's going to shake out. I see Chase Briscoe as being the heir apparent to Kevin Harvick when Harvick's contract is up in a couple of years from now. I don't think you have to rush this. Ford knows they don't have to rush this, and I feel like they know when the time is right, they're going to have a place for him. Chase is not that much older than some of the other young guys right now. He's only like 24. He's got time.
But that's older. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, I would argue that I don't believe Chase Briscoe is going to need 2 more full seasons of Xfinity at all. I mean, William Byron didn't have 2 full seasons. Chase Elliott didn't have 2 full seasons.
Chase did have
that's right.
Full seasons.
You're right. He did. But Byron didn't. And a lot of these kids,
Byron didn't, and he's struggling this year.
After a year already, and Briscoe's older and way more seasoned than William Byron was. I don't believe Chase needs 2 more years. And what's more is I don't believe that it's a certainty that Clint Boyer retires after next year.
Huh?
So, where are you putting Cole Custer? You said the Haas car goes to Custer.
The Haas car meaning
41.
The 41.
So Custer's coming up this year?
No, in a year.
So you're going to sign Suarez to a 1-year deal?
There is more speculation now that Suarez isn't going to the 41.
I just saw Adam Stern today say that conversations were ongoing, and who are you going to put in the 41 this year? Are you going to just park the car and lease the charter? Because that is an option, but
easy enough to do.
I can't believe they're going to do it. I think I see Ford expanding their roster, to tell you the truth, of teams and making a space, because you're not going to if Cole Custer isn't Cup ready by the end of next year, then Cole needs to think about something else to do. And Chase Briscoe, honestly, by the end of next year, if you watch his performances so far this year, and look what he did in the truck when he jumped in it at Eldora, And he's made good on almost every opportunity he's had. And if he hasn't had the results, he certainly had the level of performance. I think Chase Briscoe at the end of next year is ready for Cup, and Ford's going to need to find a place for him. Now, I would like to believe that maybe it could have been with Roush, but now we've got Newman with the 2-year contract.
3-year contract.
Is it 3?
Yes.
I mean, so, there's nothing going to be there necessarily.
Why would you go to Roush? They're
anytime
terrible
soon.
right
well,
now.
My point is, you would think that at some point, Roush was Ford for the longest time.
Yeah.
You would think at some point you'd see the kind of progress that could put them back as a viable option. Right now, you wouldn't even put a driver with Roush.
I have an opinion on that, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut so I don't piss a lot of people off.
Well, I mean, see, I guess I'm not afraid to say it right now. They're, as far as I'm concerned, Roush is lower on the Ford totem pole than Front Row Motorsports. And they're going to have to earn their way back up there. Except for the one little tiny glimmer that Kenseth had a couple weeks ago at Indianapolis. Yeah. Their finishes have, for the most part, been in the 20s, except for Bain's 11th place that he had. And he was running halfway decent yesterday, but, I mean, they've got Stenhouse on a long-term contract, and he was all over the place yesterday. So I don't know what Roush Fenway's doing right now, but I do know this. Right now you got Stewart-Haas and Penske as the 2 top-flight Ford teams. There's no place going to be for Chase Briscoe at Penske unless Ford provides the wherewithal to add a 4th car, and I'm not sure Roger necessarily is interested in that. And you got Austin Cindric, who's eventually going to be in that mix.
I'm not.
So,
if there's going to be there will be a 4th Penske car eventually, and Austin Cindric will be driving it. Period.
If that has to occur before Brad decides to retire.
Hang on a minute. Why would Brad retire at like 30-something?
He's 34, 35, isn't he by now?
No.
Well, I'll double check
I
his
don't
age.
think so.
I'm
going to,
But, I mean, otherwise you're going to have to make a 4th car.
And Rogers had openly admitted that eventually they're going to have to add a 4th car.
At some point, you got to deal with Chase Briscoe, and I don't think you could wait 2 years to do it.
Okay, you're right. He's 34, but I don't see Brad retiring in the next 5 to 7 years.
He may not, but
not when you're running like
I'm just saying, short of that happening, you got to go to the 4th car, which takes Briscoe out of the running, and you've only got 2 top teams right now at Ford. So Ford needs to be thinking about that because, again, they're going to be expanding I think they're going to expand their driver development roster as well.
Yes, Mark Rushbrook confirmed that after Saturday's race.
Going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with Chase here, but he certainly helped himself on Saturday.
Yep,
great race.
He did.
Very, very happy to see how well things went at the Roval. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we go from the Roval to the Oval to the Paperclip. Martinsville ran a race on Saturday night, and it ended in controversy.
Shocker.
Imagine that. We'll be back to discuss it with Langley Austin from Race22.com right after these words.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father. My husband. My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been
afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication, but it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Timmy Salamito, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network and Spreaker. And we are joined now by Langley Austin from Race22.com as we start the second hour. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman sitting inside the Race Chaser studios here in Mooresville, North Carolina. We've got Randy Miller in the tech shed, capably keeping us on time and punching all the right buttons. And we got Cisco Scaramuza via the Race Chaser Skype line. Langley going to join us. He's been on with us a few times before. We're bringing him back because Race 22 did a phenomenal job of keeping us all updated on what was going on at Martinsville over the course of the week, this past week and weekend. And then, of course, we, for those of us who couldn't be there, we got to watch the live stream on Fans Choice TV, who gets 5 stars from Tom for putting that on because it gave us an opportunity.
Yes, and don't forget about MRN too.
To
when
watch
you talk
it. And
about
MRN,
Fans
that's
Choice.
right. Yeah,
because MRN was the majority of the call for the Fans Choice broadcast.
Good point.
And I told Steve Post and Alex Hayden both on Sunday when they got back to the Roval, you know, we need to do that every year because it was phenomenal, and I enjoyed every lap.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, I take that back, and Langley will probably chuckle at the fact that I just said that in a second.
I enjoyed every lap. I just didn't enjoy some of what went on aside from the laps, and we'll bring Langley out here and get him involved in the conversation. Langley, first of all, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you back on again. You were there. Let's start to unpack this a little. First of all, another big weekend, huge car counts, a ton of talent. The best of the best in NASCAR-style late model racing were there. And you had, this invader from the super late models who sort of snuck in unannounced, but came in to steal the money, and he darn near pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on the show, and appreciate all the kind words about Race 22. But it was incredible. Incredible talent, and you mentioned super late model guy sneaking in, and nobody really snuck in, but Bubba Paulus and Corey Heim. I mean, let's not forget him, man. That dude is an absolute wheel man, and he came in from the super late model ranks, and technically he's won 3 races and has never seen a trophy or money for any of them. But man, it was wild. Martinsville is always, of course, our biggest race of the year, and it rarely ever disappoints. And I'm not going to say that it disappointed this year, but there was a lot of disappointing things that happened for sure.
Langley, I want to kind of take this right off the top here and start from the beginning for a couple of minutes because I feel like we were good up until the competition caution with 20 to go, and it seems like I say that every year, but good grief. Josh Berry, once he got to the lead, was a bullet train. I mean, it blows my mind that he hasn't won Martinsville yet, but yet again, here we are, Junior Motorsports, doing what they do and putting together a very, very, very strong effort. And I think I was just as entertained at watching Dale Jr. and Kelly on Twitter as that race progressed as I was watching Josh do what he was doing on the racetrack.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. I've seen the Twitter stuff. I don't get on Twitter a whole lot, but of course, everybody in the media center was talking about that.
Right.
So, yeah, Josh has been one of the best cars there the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, and he if it came down to performance alone to win Martinsville, he'd probably have 2 or 3 clocks already. But unfortunately, it is the biggest luck deal, ever. I mean, of course, you've got to be in the front. See, Falk's been in the front many times and never been lucky enough to win it. And this year, he got the luck and got the victory. But Josh did. He dominated the race, and I really didn't see that coming. I didn't see him being as dominant as he was. But once they dropped the green flag, he was on it. And he was better than anybody else on the racetrack. And I really, honestly, if that thing would have went, green to the end, no lap, 180 break, I don't think there was anybody who could even contend with him in any way, shape, or form.
Well, obviously, it came down to a series of, I'll spin this guy, and then you spin the next guy, and I'll spin you, and then you spin me, or whatever. This is what always happens when we get down to it in Martinsville. And I meant it to be satirical. I put a post on my Facebook wall after the race and said, I don't understand, why everybody on social media is so surprised that this race ended this way. We always have a young punk, a young villain, It's been Dylan Bassett. This year it was Lane Riggs. And again, I'm not calling Riggs a villain. I'm just, it's like just casting parts for a play or whatever. He's the young villain. And then you have, somewhere in there is almost always Josh Berry, it seems like. And Peyton Sellers ends up in the middle of it more often than not. And then, like you said, Falk's been close and hasn't won. It's different players, but the same roles in the same situation. I want to focus for a moment, though, on the way that the race ended and why C.E. Falk got the win. Because I'd like for you, because I'm sure you could do it a whole lot better than I could, can you unpack the rule that was used to justify giving C.E. Falk the victory? Because a lot of people felt like he wasn't the guy that should have won that race. And I have to admit, until I saw you talking about it, and somebody, it might have even been you in one of your posts, explained it, I didn't get it.
I may be able to explain it, and I still don't get it. It was there to, there is no rule, but, that I have not been able to find a rule that states that it should be this way. But, based on their explanation, basically every lap counted because the laps, the caution laps counted. Every lap counted. So when they came to, the green flag, for the third of the green, white, checkered finishes, C got a better restart than Corey Heim did. They were the front row, and he came to the line, and that lap counted because everybody passed the line before the caution came out. And thus he was the winner, despite the fact that Corey Heim took the lead back as soon as they went into turn 1 and held a fairly good lead off turn 2 and into 3 before they slowed down for the caution. So in my eye, Corey Heim should have been the winner. They had video evidence that he was the leader at the time of the caution. Granted, they didn't have every position, but I mean, that's, it doesn't matter. The way all the other NASCAR rule books read, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but the way the rest of them read is that you, at the end of the race, you use every means necessary and available to you to determine the winner, and not by the start-finish line, or not just by the loops, or whatever the case may be, which they didn't use the loops, so that wouldn't have mattered anyway. But they should have used every every method to determine it, and they had clear, video that showed where everybody was and whether or not, the car stopped. I mean, they had multiple cameras. So to me, Corey Heim should have won the race. But C. Falk won the race, and honestly, C. Falk, for his time at Martinsville, he's very deserving of the win. I'm not taking anything away from him in any way, shape, or form. But had the race been called the way that every other NASCAR race would be called, Corey Heim would be the winner today.
So NASCAR for their late model rules doesn't use when the caution comes out, we go back to the last fully completed lap.
Well, no, that's exactly what they did, Tom, is what he was saying. They
okay. Because that's what I was trying to figure, because I thought that's what they did.
Basically, what they considered as the last fully completed lap was the restart lap when they took the green flag, which is exactly what I disagree with and why I've been fuming about this since Saturday night.
Now that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so then if it went back to the previous lap, which is what it should have done.
Yes, it should have gone back to the order.
Who's the leader?
Well,
because I've lost track of who was where when.
So here, the whole reason Falk won the race was because at the end of the day, the restart lap 216, when they took the green flag to start overtime 3, he beat the actual leader of the race, Corey Heim, to the line by about that much.
Right. So
he was credited with the win because he was ahead at the start-finish line. That was considered the last fully completed lap and what they used to set the finishing order, not the video at the moment of caution.
Yes. Here's where it gets really confusing, okay? We got a chance to talk to Lynn Carroll and, asking different questions and all that good stuff. But throughout all that, his contention was that they only have the start-finish line. They don't have any loops. It's not their video. It actually belongs to a local cable company who produced it for Fans' Choice, whatever. Okay? So the part that gets confusing is they say that, he went, strictly by the rule book. Well, we changed engine rules like 47 times throughout the weekend. It really wasn't that many times, but, it felt like that.
It was only 40.
Yeah, well, it was way too many. Whatever it was. But it also, before the race, they actually changed the rule that you can't, in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series rulebook, it says that you can't beat the lead car to the line. And before the race, they changed that rule. So his contention of not being able to change a rule, well, he had done it all weekend, so I don't know why this one, couldn't have been changed as well. And I get that, it was at the end of the race and, everything played out. But they knew they had a problem when Peyton Sellers got the lead, based on the way they were calling the race. That the light should have went off, above their head, and they should have said, we got to fix this before this becomes a problem even worse as we go. But they didn't. They chose to stick with the rule book and, say that they couldn't change the rule. But, obviously they did change the rules, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, okay. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of Langley Austin and more trying to solve this jigsaw puzzle that was the Valley Star Credit Union 300, or at least the conclusion of it.
Yeah.
Right after this on the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Louis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Louis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
Hi, I'm Tyler Dipple, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show. If you were watching us on Facebook Live, Jacob Seelman is dippling.
Yes. Yes, I is.
And we continue with Langley Austin from Race22.com and continue trying to explain the seemingly unexplainable conclusion to this race, because I'm just not too sure. I've been a race official quite a lot in my years, and I've been a race director. I've been a flagger. I've never had a restart lap count as the last fully completed lap, because while you threw the green and you had a lap complete, the caution comes out. The last fully completed lap should have been the lap prior to that restart, I would have thought, but I guess the NASCAR late model rule book is written differently than I thought, Langley.
Yeah, well, and you and I were talking about this on the break, Tom, and Langley, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the catch to all this is that everybody in their head is thinking we should go back to the last fully completed green flag lap. But the way the entry blank is written, it goes back to the last fully completed lap, regardless of whether that's green, yellow, or restart, what have you.
Yeah, I think somebody, when they typed up the entry form, left out the word green and really messed things up.
Yeah, so, we don't use common sense anymore.
Well,
yeah,
that's the problem.
You know, I mean, and to me, it's a short track. I don't care if we got to have 10 green, white checkers. If you finish the doggone race and throw a checkered flag, you don't have this issue. This is exactly why I hate races that don't get a checkered flag, a race to the finish line, because this is what happens.
Yeah. Can I add to this, by the way, Langley? And I want you to explain this, because this race for about 10 minutes didn't actually get a checkered flag. They literally drove everybody to turn 4, parked them, and we all sat and waited and wondered what the heck was going to happen, as I know all the drivers did too.
Yeah, it was a really bad situation, because most of the crowd was still there. You know, they wanted to see a good finish, and
sure,
they were, you know, they may have been told 47 times on the microphone that they were only going to have 3 green, white, checkered finishes, but you know, there was some alcohol consumed, and you know, they didn't really know that there'd been 3. So it was really bad because I was standing on the front straightaway, and in one ear I could listen to MRN over the speakers, and I was watching the screen, and in the other ear I had Lynn Carroll on race control, who's the race director there this weekend, and, you know, he's on there. He's done said the race is over 3 times. They're just trying to figure out the finish, but they've left the cars where they are, and in the meantime, and this is no, you know, slight on MRN, in the meantime, they're not delivering that message to the fan. And it's set up for a really bad scenario because when they came around, everybody thought they were all the fans thought that they were putting, you know, the drivers in their place and getting ready to go for a restart. They stop them right before they get to the line. We sit there another minute or two, and then they roll them, and the checkered flag waves, and the crowd immediately starts booing and hollering. And, I mean, there was a lot of obscenities used there, and the fans were really robbed of a good finish. Of actually seeing a finish of any kind. It was a really bad scenario, and yeah, it was the rule. But I mean, at some point or another, like Tom said, at some point or another, these race officials have to say, you know what, I don't care what the rule book says. We've got to exercise some common sense here. If this you know doesn't make sense, then let's fix it. We have the opportunity to fix it. That's, you know, our job is to make sure that this goes off right, and we need to do it. And I will say this: I credit Michael Diaz at Southern National, you know, with being the only guy so far in the last, you know, couple of years that's used any common sense whatsoever at the Thanksgiving Classic last year when Matt McCall had his transponder in the wrong place, and, you know, everybody's calling for him to be disqualified, and, you know, the dude won the race, and they couldn't pass him. And at the end of the day, that transponder didn't make him faster. So, you know, we have to use some sense. And in this case, we have to go, you know what, I don't care if the entry blank doesn't say green. We say green. You know what I mean? This is going to be the last completed green flag lap, and we're going to go as many times they should have. We're going to go as many times as we need to get a green flag finish. And if that takes all night, well, we'll just sit here. Because so, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, these guys have got to get out of their procedures and use them when they need to, but you exercise some sort of common sense when it comes to calling a race. And I've been a race director. Trust me, I don't ever want to do that job again. I've had like 47 people tell me on Facebook today that I should officiate the race next year, and I can't repeat my answer on here because I don't use very good words because I would not do it.
Well, but, you know, at the end of the day, you talk about using common sense. It doesn't matter what the rules say. Why don't we just change the rule?
Well,
I just don't.
Why don't we just burn the entire rule book for that race and start over?
Well, and see, that was. This is my problem, Langley. It seems like every year, and I don't want to dissuade anyone from going to next year's race because this is an amazing race weekend to go and watch. But from the standpoint of rules enforcement, operation, and consistency with calls, okay, I mean, I've never personally met Lynn Carroll, but I mean, I feel like we could do better. I mean, you know, one guy spins another guy, he gets parked. Then another guy spins another guy, and that guy doesn't get parked. You know, it's like, and you can tell me that it's not favoritism, and I'll believe you, but it's either not favoritism or you're just plain not consistent with your calls, because clearly this was the same scenario and you called it 2 different ways. And, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, that in a race of this caliber for $25,000 to win, it's on Fans Choice TV, not acceptable. You got to do better than that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I will say this. I think that Martinsville Speedway does an exceptional job of promoting this event. I think they do an exceptional job of trying to organize this event. And I think it takes a lot of things to make it happen. But I think where they go wrong is they come in there with a race director who only race directs once a year. Yep. Yes, he was the NASCAR Wheeling All-American Series, you know, top dog for years. Fine, whatever, doesn't matter. But you come in with a guy who hasn't race direct all year. Technology is always evolving. Everything's changing, and he's not a part of it. He's not a part of it every week. And you know, they come in, and I'll be honest with you, when you know, Race 22 is sitting in the media center, the racetrack and the officials and everybody is asking us what like their entry list. Martinsville Speedway, works with us to make sure that their entry list is correct and they got all the drivers and everything's right. So we have a lot of involvement in the race, but then when it comes to the officiating, there's nobody, and I'm not, advocating for any media source to ever be involved in officiating. But what I'm saying is somebody who officiates every week needs to be the guy who officiates this race.
Agreed.
They need to have some sort of system where a guy, that does it at Motor Mile, or a guy that from Southern National or Langley Speedway or wherever it is, that's the guy who does it because that's the guy the racers trust and that's the guy the racers know and that's the guy who knows what the technology is today and everything that's changing and everything that's going on. And, maybe, that guy knows, okay, the rules that work here at, say, Langley Speedway or Dominion, they're not going to work at Martinsville. It's just not going to work for us, so let's go ahead and get ahead of this and make sure this works. And the procedures for Martinsville, should be totally different than they are at, Podunk Speedway. That's just not, it's not how, this works. And the track has the availability to use loops. Why are we not using them? I'm not throwing them up to the bus, but if you have this technology, let's use it.
Right.
Let's not just let it sit there. Motor Mile Speedway may not have that technology, so if they don't use it, it's okay. But it's not okay for you to not use it.
All right, Langley, speaking of flawed procedures, I got another one for you. And I know this was a gripe by this was a gripe by a lot of people on social media this weekend. Duct-taped numbers. And the fact that we can't handle duplicate numbers in the system. Every other short track in the country knows how to do it.
Well, but to the same token, every other short track isn't Martinsville. And every other short track race doesn't have this many cars. And every other short track race doesn't have, everything that goes on at Martinsville. So to me, and this is another area where I'll give Martinsville Speedway credit, sometimes you have to do things differently than every other short track does. If duplicate numbers is a problem for you, your staff, your fans, your media, whatever the case may be, then you need to do it the way that fits you the best. And I do think that them making the drivers change the numbers fit their system the best. But I will say this, the problem comes in here. Forever and a day, we made them change numbers, but we made them change numbers there at Martinsville based on who was the fastest. Well, last year, we didn't make them change numbers at all. It may have been last year and the year before that. I think they may have had duplicate numbers allowed them to run in the race. Well, the track gets complaints from fans. I don't know who Peyton Sellers is versus, Bubba Pollard because they're the same number. I don't know who, whatever, Lee Pulliam, and I don't know the difference between Lee Pulliam and Dexter Knight Jr. Fine. Okay. That's great, though. So that system should work best for them. But the problem is you got to have an understanding as a racetrack of these guys are spending $600, $1,000, $1,500, whatever the number is, I don't even know, on a wrap. So let's get this taken care of in advance. Mm-hmm. Yes, they put it on the entry blank, and yes, it said that numbers and pit stalls would be there, but nowhere else was that ever put out. They could have sent a press release out to everybody. They could have sent out a press release that, the drivers would see that says how the entry blank comes in is exactly how we're doing the numbers. And what we're going to do is when we get a duplicate in, we're going to call that second guy up and we're going to say, Corey Heim, number 78 is already taken. You are going to be number 79 next weekend. Hey, he's got a chance to go get his decals done right. They're going to look professional, and we're going to look like we know what the heck we're doing. When we use duct tape, we look like a bunch of idiots.
That's exactly right, Langley. You hit that on the head. See, I hate duplicate numbers at racetracks.
Oh, I do too.
I think it's totally unacceptable, and I don't care if we don't need to change numbers because we got automatic scoring. I'm a fan. I'm in the grandstand. If you got 4 number 5s, I lose track of who's in which 5. So when all you got to do, this worked really good in the 1970s, people. When you enter the race, just like you just said, if your number is taken because somebody beat you to it, then they contact you and offer you some alternate choices. You change the number, and you have the correct number for that race on your car when you show up at the racetrack. We're done. This is
100%.
Not rocket science.
Be done. I mean, and the thing about it is nobody is going to. None of the racers may go, well, dang man, I didn't get my number this year, but they're not going to complain about it. And there's no reason for any media member to complain about duct tape numbers if we don't have to have duct tape numbers.
Correct.
So, and the fans. Now, this is the one caveat at Martinsville that they really have to work on, and it gets worse every year, and they really need to sit down and start working on it. And that's their scoreboard. Their scoreboard is the most atrocious thing in the history of racing. There is no way for a fan sitting in the stands to know who's in what car, because like this year, all they gave you was car numbers. Well, at least they were there and you could see. But I mean, I don't mean to be a smart ass, and I hope I can say that. But look, I can look and see who the leader of the dang race is.
Right.
Okay, I know what number. I know that the 02 is leading the race, or I know the 88 is leading the race. Hey, you don't have to tell me that on the screen. Tell me his name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Martinsville used to do a better job of this before they got their new scoreboard, and I realized that they have all kinds of challenges. There's all kinds of challenges because they don't have the kind of staff there for this late model stock race that they have there for the Cup race, and I get that it's an extreme challenge, but that's somewhere where they need to put a point of emphasis for them to make sure that their fans know who's in what car.
Yeah.
And then they don't have these problems. When Lee Pulliam's in a 6, every fan knows he's in a 6 because it says it on the scoreboard.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, it's also on, whatever, if they have a program or wherever you can find that. Everybody gets the entry list. It's all correct. Everybody knows. I agree. It's just not rocket science. We overcomplicate things with technology.
And this year they added Race Monitor, which thank God.
Yep.
It's about time. They added Race Monitor in time for the feature this year, and at least the names were on there.
Right.
But I don't think that they ever told the fans on their board. They may have, and I may have missed.
Yep.
But I don't think they ever once said, hey, if you're here, you want to know who's in what spot, check out Race Monitor. Or better yet, we have Race Monitor. Why not run that on the scoreboard?
Sure, why not? Well,
it would have been so simple.
We got to step aside. When we come back, we'll have one last segment with Langley about Martinsville here, and we'll do that right after this on the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. Back with more in a minute.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing: making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, leaders in motorsport safety. We are live on the Performance Motorsports Network, Spreaker, and, of course, here on the Race Chaser Media Facebook page. We do a live video stream of each of our shows on a regular basis. We are joined by Langley Austin one more time here from Race22.com, continuing to talk about Martinsville. So, Langley, at the end of the day, we don't want to deny C.E. Falk his due because, in all honesty, as you said in the first segment, you know, C.E.'s been in position to win a number of times and hasn't. And it's great to see him get the win. He's been around a long time and certainly earned the opportunity. Talk about some drivers that you felt like also had maybe, you know, outstanding or above expected performances in this one.
Well, I mean, I think you can start with, you know, Corey Haim, you know.
Yeah.
And I hate to keep repeating his name, but, I mean, the dude has run 3 late model stock car races, and he's basically won all 3 of them, and you know, still doesn't have a trophy from any of them. I mean, it's amazing that he's run that good. And I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't follow him enough in super and pro racing. I don't follow super and pro racing hardly at all. But you know, I don't think he's that good in that. But yeah, man, he has been on fire in a late model stock. Of course, I mean, he's driving for Leaf Williams, so he's got the best of the best equipment that, you know, you can get into, and he did a great job. Another guy, you know, Brandon Pierce. You know, Brandon Pierce and Trevor Ward, you know, they finished 3rd and 4th, I believe. And, I mean, you know, Brandon Pierce won a race at South Boston this year, so, you know, his run's not totally unexpected, but Trevor Ward kind of came out of nowhere. You know, he had been getting better and then kind of declined, and then all of a sudden the last, you know, month or so he won at Ace, and, you know, he really started to get his stuff together and did really good. Justin Carroll is another one. Ty Gibbs, you know, overcame his, you know, he was the fastest guy in testing, fastest guy in practice, and, you know, then blew it in qualifying. And he's been known for, you know, finding a way to get into a wreck, or they found him, one or the other, and he didn't do that this time, and he found a way to finish 7th and, you know, did a great job. Of course, Chris Van Dyke and Kevin Neal. Kevin Neal was kind of a Cinderella story. I mean, he was 50, 60th, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood in testing, and went out to, or in practice rather, and went out to qualified 25th, ended up, you know, 22nd once the Nelson guys got tossed out, and finished 10th. I mean, an amazing run for him, and it was good to see Woody Howard back. You know, I think he finished 11th or 12th or something. It was good to see him. And Thomas Scott finished 13th, but, I mean, he should have been 3rd based on the way their rule is, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, I don't want to harp on that, you know, so I don't want to really say anything. But and I'll say another guy who did a really good job was Trevor Knowles. You know, he kind of helped, you know, make that final wreck, but you know, he did a great job all race and did a great job last year too. I mean, he has outperformed, you know, his Jumpstart Motorsports teammate and you know, car owner Tommy Lemons Jr. both years. So he's done a great job.
I thought that another driver who did a great job, though he didn't get to finish the race for us to see what might have been, was Ryan Millington. I mean, Ryan started deep in the field and got up, I think, to like 8th or 9th before he had a mechanical issue that put him out. You know, Ryan's a kid who, you know, he doesn't have the resources that some other teams, you know, a lot of the top teams have. But, boy, when that kid gets in a race car, and especially at Martinsville, he's taken to Martinsville like a duck to water the last couple of years, and so far hasn't had the results to show. But, boy, if he can ever get to a point where he finishes a race, you're liable to see that kid end up contending for a win because he's been fast there both years.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and no disrespect to the team that he was driving for this year, but I mean, up until he got in that car, I thought it was absolute junk. So I mean, he's really improved their program, all the way around, and I believe they won a race somewhere in that car this year, and I know he won in his own car. Otherwise, but
I think somewhere, or somewhere like that.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, he is every time I see him race. He outperforms what I think he'll be able to do. When he won the race at Caraway at the beginning of this year, I mean, if somebody had asked me before the race who was going to win, he wouldn't have been in my list. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he does a great job. I think he is definitely a guy who he puts himself in the best position possible with what he has, and if he had more, he'd be even better. So you talked earlier about Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs is another guy who did a fantastic job, and he may not want to be the villain, as he told one of our reporters, but he makes a perfect one and did a great job there on the front straightaway. Getting the crowd going afterwards and held his own. When Bubba Pollard came over to talk, and I got to give a shout out to him because I mean yes, he caused the wreck. But, I mean, I don't think he did anything any more wrong than Peyton did and wasn't, penalized. So,
exactly.
He may look like the villain today, but he could have very easily, if he'd have made that pass, he could have very easily won the race. So.
Well, again, and I was putting that out there, as I said, in a satirical manner. That was the role. He happened to be this year's Dylan Bassett, Jacob.
Yeah, he did. Now,
Dylan wears it proudly, though.
Yes. I just kind of shook my head where Lane was concerned.
Yeah.
And I imagine Scott kind of talked him down after the race. Anyway, Langley, one more person I want to kind of highlight here, and I'm curious your thoughts. Obviously, you haven't seen him do this until Saturday night, but thoughts, even though he got collected in the wreck, Bubba Pollard in his late model stock car debut could have won the race. Maybe should have won the race if not for Lane.
Well, somebody asked me after the race, Matt Weaver, actually, from Short Track Scene, asked me, he said, was Bubba Pollard as good as advertised? And, of course, that's the first time I'd ever actually seen him race in person. And, for him to go from being 50th or 51st in testing, 40th first in practice, and then qualified, I believe, 29th, and, raced his way up to the front like he did. The dude is absolutely... I told somebody earlier, he's probably the most methodical, smart racer that I've ever seen in my life. He is a special guy, and I don't think there's any kind of car that you could put him in that he wouldn't find a way to find his way into contention. So the dude is awesome. And that whole scene where he walked down to Lane Riggs' pit area, it looked like, Tiger Woods going to the 18th hole a few weeks ago. I mean, it was just amazing to watch that scene of him walking down there. And, late model stock people may have not had any respect for him before this weekend, but I'll guarantee you all of them are thinking, especially the racers, God, I hope you don't show up to any more.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would agree with all of that, and I thought that I saw the video that was posted of that whole thing, and whoever that lady media girl was, I mean, I'm glad I don't know who she was. I'm not going to obviously call her out on the air except to say this. She shouldn't be doing media anymore after that, the way she handled that question with him just trying to goad him into a comment. That was completely inappropriate, but I thought that I thought Bubba handled himself quite well with Lane and vice versa. So another controversial finish at Martinsville. Langley Austin, Race22.com. Thank you for taking some time out of your evening to talk racing with us. We love the site. We appreciate what you guys do and the opportunity to talk with you when the situation warrants.
Yep, and appreciate you guys having me on and appreciate what you guys do, too.
That's Langley Austin. We take a break. When we come back, our our final segment, usually the lightning round is the controversial one. I think we'll probably have to back off from that tonight. A couple of things to discuss here as we close things out. Stick around. You're listening to the Stock Car Show. We'll be right back after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Brandon McReynolds, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
That re-entry seems so much more relevant since Brandon went with the walk-off win a few weeks ago at New Hampshire, and great to see that
winning
for him. Yeah, for sure. Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, our final segment for the evening, and we are, interestingly enough, we are looking at the lightning round, and normally this is when all of the discussion and debate starts. I think we've had about
45 minutes of that.
About almost an hour of that about Martinsville. So I want to turn us back to the Roval just for a second. And I guess we're going to continue to debate, but hopefully in a little more of a positive direction. I'm going to start with a roundtable question here. We'll start with Jacob, then go to Cisco on this. And it's quite simply this. Would you like to see the Roval back again? We know it's coming back, but that's not the question. Would you like to see it back again if you had a choice for 19? And if so, what changes or modifications would you make for next year's race?
Yes, to answer the first question.
Okay.
I mean, that slam dunk home run. who wouldn't want to see it back after what we saw, particularly on Sunday? Frankly, CMS did a good job of hunting out most of the modifications they needed to make before we actually started racing on Saturday. That tire pack on the backstretch chicane, they fixed that before racing, which was really good because that was really scary at times. Honestly, I think the only change that I would potentially make is to try to reword or rescript the rule, the rule having to do with stop and goes with the chicanes and all that. There's got to be a little bit better way to handle that situation and not have to risk a penalty if you don't have a competitive advantage. Jimmy Johnson spun through the chicane and lost way more positions than he should have by virtue of having to come to a complete stop and then cross the line, and it ultimately affected his playoffs. That's really the only thing I would change. Other than that, I think it's great. Steve O'Donnell took care of the other complaint that I had. The Xfinity race needs some more laps. That's coming for next year. Those two things, I'm good. Bring on the Roval again next year.
Cisco.
As far as, well, yes, I would bring it back, and I also, to go one step further, I agree with what Brenton Smith and the rest of the SMI group said, where we're not going to be bringing this to any other tracks. This is just a Charlotte thing.
Correct.
I agree with that. I don't think it's something that needs to be overdone and brought into places where I don't want to have 5 Rovals on the schedule is what I'm trying to say. But as far as things I would change, as hilarious as it was, and it was hilarious not just once but twice, maybe don't put the trackside advertisement box fold card things on the racetrack next year. Like, it was hilarious, don't get me wrong, the 2 times that they ended up stuck to the race cars.
But let's be clear, Cisco, we do it in IMSA all the time, and people avoid hitting them then.
Well, yes, because IMSA is full of road course drivers.
Well,
look, I said it.
See, but that's I don't think that was the issue. The issue is that there's not enough runoff space, so the drivers at the Roval run into that sign a lot faster because they don't have a big wide area of runoff. Yeah, it's impossible.
But it was hilarious.
I thought it was great. To me,
they can tone it down next year, guys.
And let's be clear, Echo One and Bojangles got 5 times their advertising budget.
Absolutely. I don't know if you need to change a thing. I thought that was funny. Okay, Randy, next.
Let's run it at night. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. That would be funny.
Marcus said it was a possibility.
I think it'd be funny and hilarious at the same time. They can do the 24 hours of Daytona at night. Why not run the Roval at night? I think they should maybe lower the turtles a little bit, not make them 6 feet high, because as cool as the wrecks were, Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace could have gotten really hurt.
Yes.
By how high those cars got up off the ground. Other than that, the race was awesome. So I don't want to see anything change. Just do it.
And can we find a different name for them other than turtles?
See,
they do look like turtles, though.
Jacob stole both of my. Well, between you and Jacob, my answer to the question is, heck yes, I want the Roval back. I want it to be run at night. I think this would be an amazing night race. I also would like us to stop calling these things turtles. All I think of when I hear turtles is either a shell or Teenage Mutant Ninja, and it's unless you're gonna do some sort of a play on that, can we just start calling them rumble strips or something?
I thought they were like stop strips or rumble strips or sausage curves.
I do agree
like
they could lower them a little. Here's what I don't want to happen.
Uh-huh.
What I'm hopeful doesn't happen is that we don't sterilize this course.
I don't know how you would sterilize it.
Well, I don't know either. I'm just saying when Marcus Smith talked about little tweaks or things that could, and there were a couple of other, Blaney, I think, talked about some tweaks he'd like to see made. Let's not make this too easy, because what really worked about this race was that it was just enough where you could run too wide if you respected each other, but if you started to get too frisky, something happened. That's what you want. Cisco, you want this to be the ultimate challenge. If you're going to bother to have it, then you want it to be a challenge. And I thought this was a nice blend this year. It turned out to be better than I thought, but certainly not so good that it ended up being just another road race.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing I think we're going to have to remember going into next year with this, in my opinion, is going to be the pinnacle of challenge for the drivers. Because as we talked about for the entire week leading up to this race, we didn't have notes. We didn't know what was going to happen when cars went into turn one.
Right.
We didn't know all these different things. Now we do. So I think, Tom, you brought an excellent aside and compared this race to one hot night. I have to agree. I don't think, and running at the Roval, it's going to be successful, but I don't think anything's going to match the race that we had.
No, but that's also why I'd like to see it go. Now, it'll probably take some doing on Charlotte's part, so maybe next year's not the time, but I'd like to see this go. I wish it could go to a night race the second year right off the bat, because then you scramble it again, and at least it's another year before you start to get, because that's what I don't want. I'm afraid that familiarity is going to breed less interesting, and then this thing is going to become, and so, but you're right. Nothing will ever have all the elements that yesterday's race had. Real quick, Cisco, but I just don't want them to make this course too driver-friendly.
There's, I think, 3 things that would cause a shakeup. Rain tires. If we had to run on the rain, I think that would be interesting. Though, Tom, you're dubious about that one.
Try that on the oval. Let's see how that works out for you.
Night racing. And the other thing, which probably won't happen, but would be possible to at least try, why don't we run it in reverse? Make him turn right.
Oh, okay.
See what happens there.
I wasn't okay. That took me a second. I don't know, Jacob. I think for the most part, we can say this weekend was a huge success. I guess the thing for me with this is that you're never going to get exactly what you saw yesterday.
No.
But I just hope we don't. First of all, the question was asked, will we rovalize more tracks? Thank God Marcus said no. I'm fine if they want to go run the road course at Daytona. In fact, I would love to see the firecracker race run on that road course. I know that probably that will never happen until somebody else buys NASCAR, but I would love to see that. Not a fan of more Rovals, though.
Correct. I would agree with that. The only other track I think could do it and get away with it is Pocono, because of the way their infield road course is built.
I may make an exception for that, because that would probably be a far better show than what we get on the oval.
But other than that, no. Let it be a Charlotte thing. Let it be a novelty.
On the old horse racing track if it's still there.
No.
Bite your tongue,
nice
Cisco. Okay, final question here. All right, we're going forward. Round of 12. Give me one driver nobody thinks will drop out of the round, or who will not advance to the next round. Give me one surprise, Cisco.
Is it a surprise to say Ryan Blaney?
Probably,
I guess.
Probably not in this field.
In this situation, but I still think he's enough of a wild card, and I think Ryan Blaney's going to hang tough here.
Randy?
As surprising as it may be, and considering how he's been performing lately, I say Martin Truex.
Well, I think you got a chance of being right, but I'm not sure this round. I think round 3. Jacob?
Clint Boyer.
Okay, Jacob and I are on the same wavelength tonight. I don't know that Clint would be a huge surprise, but
he's the number 5 seed. I would consider that a surprise.
That's the thing that I think about is I think this is going to be the round where if Clint can get out of this round, I think he's got a shot at that point of going to.
Especially because we're going back to Martinsville in round 3.
Yeah, I think he gets a shot to go to the Final Four, but he's got to get out of this round. I say Clint Boyer, but I'll tell you the other guy that I'm not real optimistic about at this point I go back and forth on this, but Joey Logano. I know he's got space, but golly, Bill, he and Larson, for me, it's like they're really fast, but then they
They wiffle waffle.
They wiffle waffle. Yeah, and so
you wiffle waffled into the wall on.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
and congratulations to Kyle Larson. Superhuman was that.
Yes,
drive. That car
to
was
drive
falling
to
apart.
advance. It was destroyed, and
Yeah.
he passed Jeffrey Earnhardt for
Yeah.
25th. And he got married earlier in the week, too.
He did.
So that's a really big thing.
Yep.
Congratulations to Kyle and Caitlin. That was certainly a big moment for them going into the weekend. And with that, we are going to say thanks to our partners at HMS Motorsport and Telmed Benefits for what they do to make this show possible, as well as Bob Steele and Sue Mason at PMN and Randy Miller behind the glass for punching buttons and making this show possible. For Tom Baker and Cisco Scaramuza, I'm Jacob Seelman reminding you to keep it off the wall, and we might just see you at a racetrack somewhere. Folks, have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit racechaseronline.com. The Stock Car Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the Stock Car Show returns on Thursday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, stay tuned for more great motorsports programming on the Performance Motorsports Network.